Snow White is on track to lose more than $200 million at the box office, and the blame game has begun. And this time, it is Rachel Zegler that is getting thrown under the bus.
Yeah. Weird.
Let's see how. Whenever Disney has released a subversive new installment of an established brand featuring deliberately provocative stunt casting in recent years, they will, without exception, lash out at the audience for rejecting it and publicly admonish so-called toxic fans. This is grade A gaslighting, because in reality it is the creatives and the producers who are toxic, as they are the ones deliberately creating incendiary content. The proof of this is of course in the pudding, as virtually every last one of these subversive productions fail with the audience, yet few has failed as badly as Snow White. When something fails as badly as this, someone needs to be blamed, and this time, merely blaming the audience for being toxic and not sufficiently welcoming to subversion won't do. So this time, they're throwing Rachel Zegler under the bus. That's pretty incredible when you stop to think about it, and a marked contrast to what they did for Moses Ingram, where they had Ewan McGregor humiliate himself in a hostage tape. But Zegler doesn't have that level of identity protection, and more importantly, she already painted a target on her own back. All Disney had to do was gently push her into the fighting line, which is what they did. Let's begin with this account from industry trade Variety, which has a special report courtesy of unnamed insiders within Disney, whose goal here is to protect Disney at Zegler's expense. Variety's report, Inside Disney's Snow White Fiasco, Death Threats, Beefed Up Security, and a Social Media Guru for Rachel Zegler, reads, on August 12th of 2024, 3 days after Rachel Zegler hit the stage at Disney's D23 fan event to introduce the first official trailer of Snow White, she thanked supporters effusively in an X post for driving the teaser to 120 million views in 24 hours. 1 minute later, she added an afterthought in the same thread. And always remember, Free Palestine. That addendum, which amassed 8.8 million views, nearly 4 times the number for the initial post, quickly made the rounds, with many inside the studio expressing shock that the Snow White star would commingle the promotion of its 270 million tentpole with any kind of political statement. A Disney executive raised the studio's concerns with Zegler's team, while the film's producer, Mark Platt, flew to New York to speak directly with her. And jumping forward a bit, behind the scenes, death threats towards Zegler's co-star Gal Gadot, who is Israeli, spiked, and Disney had to pay for additional security for the mother of 4. Yeah, that would explain why things have been so tense between Zegler and Gadot as of late. The write-up continues. She didn't understand the repercussions of her actions as far as what that meant for the film, for Gal, for anyone, says one insider. 3 months later, following the presidential election, Zegler posted "Fuck Donald Trump" and "May Trump supporters never know peace" on Instagram. Disney had had enough, given that the star was signaling to half the potential audience of an already troubled film plagued by costly reshoots to stay home. Platt made the case again to Zegler. After a back and forth, she began working with a social media guru paid for by Disney to vet any posts before the film's March 21st bow. Beyond feeding Variety the story in the first place, Disney declined to comment. Zegler did not respond to a request for comment. And you can tell that Disney is behind this story, because I do believe they may just have rewritten history somewhat in this next bit. At D23, she criticized the original 1937 Snow White, noting that the prince literally stalks the heroine. One top agent says that was the moment that Disney allowed Zegler to control the narrative. The first time she shoots her mouth off, you nip it in the bud. Instead, the studio said nothing, and purists began to revolt. This is mostly true insofar as it goes, but I do not believe for 1 second that she trashed the 1937 movie the way that she did entirely of her own. No, they may pretend otherwise now, but what she said has all the hallmarks of being a talking point straight out of Bob Iger's woke Disney, a company he staffed with activists who hate not just Walt Disney, but the entire Disney legacy. Leave it to them to come up with official talking points that not only Zegler uttered, but which Gal Gadot echoed.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is...
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
She's not going to be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true.
She's not going to be saved by the prince.
When the two of them are so desperately trying to get the exact same talking point out there, that means it comes straight from the studio. And therefore that the producers really wanted it out there. And now, when it's convenient for them, now they're throwing Zegler under the bus and accusing her of essentially going rogue and of being a lone gunman, if you will. And to cement that impression, the article also says, the Disney-Zegler standoffs underscore the challenge Hollywood studios face as they attempt to rein in stars who court controversy on social media. Oh yes, the studios are just hapless victims of all these activists who just can't shut up on social media. Let's all light a candle for Disney. Except they hired Zegler for this activist movie because she was an activist with an active social media following. Now, they're just trying to back away from that and blame her so you, the audience, don't blame the real culprits, which would have been Bob Iger's Disney and the major institutional shareholders they bowed down to. The article mentioned producer Mark Platt twice, and his 38-year-old son also had words for Zegler in a since-deleted Instagram post, which was, nonetheless, picked up by the Daily Mail. Their write-up reads, in the wake of an article published by Variety on Tuesday, which stated that Mark had flown to New York to speak to the actress about her controversial social media posts, one fan left a comment on his son Jonah's Instagram. It read, "Your dad flew to New York City to reprimand a young actress?" Any words on this? Because that's creepy as hell and uncalled for. People have the right to free speech. No? Shame on your father. Jonah, whose younger brother Ben Platt, 31, is an actor and singer, shot back with an angry rant which began, "You really want to do this?" Yeah, my dad, the producer of the enormous piece of Disney IP with hundreds of millions of dollars on the line, had to leave his family to fly across the country to reprimand his 20-year-old employee for dragging her personal politics into the middle of promoting the movie for which she signed a multi-million-dollar contract to get paid and do publicity for. Free speech does not mean you're allowed to say whatever you want in your private employment without repercussions. Tens of thousands of people worked on that film, and she hijacked the conversation for her own immature desires at the risk of the colleagues and crew and blue-collar workers who depend on that movie to be successful. Well, actually, they got paid anyway. It's the producers that need the movie to be successful to get a big payout. But anyway, he concluded, narcissism is not something to be coddled or encouraged. He got a lot of backlash for this from Zegler fans, which is no doubt why he deleted his post, but the takeaway from all of this is clear. Disney is putting all blame for this failure on Rachel Zegler. Because then maybe people will forget to point the fingers at Disney. Because is Rachel Zegler really the only problem here, or does maybe Disney have to share some responsibility as well? Let me know your thoughts in the comments.